I'm Amanda Knox, and you're listening to Hard Knocks. Well, thank you so much for coming on Hard Knocks, Anthony. I'm going to give a short introduction to who you are prior to this coming on. But in the meantime, where are you at in your life right now? Can you just give me a little picture of what you're doing these days?
Yeah, actually, I am. I'm in Houston, Texas. I work at the Public Defender's Office. I'm the director of community outreach here. I'm a published book author, so just like you, I published my book called Infinite Hope. An advocate for criminal justice reform. I travel around the country. I share my story. I've testified in front of Congress, testified in front of the Senate about solitary confinement. Have a documentary out called Grave Injustice, which we won an Emmy Award for. I do a plethora of things around criminal justice and criminal justice reform. I've dedicated my life to it. So that's where I'm at today.
Awesome. Well, I want to get into a few things with you. I think that very clearly, two things that we should talk about is solitary confinement and death row, the death penalty. So, you were in prison for 18 years on death row. 12 of those years were spent in solitary confinement. Is that correct?
So let me correct you. I was 18 and a half years. I spent 12 and a half years.
That matters.
On death. Yes, that was a little bit more money.
Yeah. Good call.
Yeah. So 18 and a half years total. I spent 12 and a half years on death row, but a total of 16 years in solitary confinement because I was in jail for 6 years waiting trial, and during that time I was in solitary as well. So that's how I become like 16 years of solitary confinement. Crazy, right?
How are you not insane right now?
I don't know. I think for me I had such a rebellious spirit. I wanted to make sure that the world knew what was going on. And so I just couldn't lose sight of that. And because I never did lose sight of that, I stayed focused on exposing the system for what it was so that we could do better.
You know what? I think that's something that you and I have in common, that rebellious spirit, because I think that matters, honestly, that having a rebellious spirit sort of prevents you from being truly defeated, I think. And, obviously I did not live through the extent of what you lived through, right? Like I was never on solitary confinement. I was in like separation. So I was in isolation for 8 months, but that's like nothing compared to 16 years in solitary confinement, right? And even so, I think a part of the thing that preserved my mental well-being was this rebellious feeling inside of myself that all these motherfuckers doing this to me are wrong. And
right.
And I'm not going to be defeated because then that's letting them win.
Yes, that is the only attitude to have in order to win. You have to say, you know what, you doing this shit to me and you so wrong, but I'm gonna do so much damn good that I'm gonna make you look that bad because of all the good shit I'm gonna do. I'm gonna show the world how bad you're fucking up. Okay? And that's what I do today. I show the criminal justice system how bad they fucked up by trying to kill a man who has a lot to contribute to society and to this system as a whole. So yeah, I'm on a mission, man, just like you are. Yes, to let them know that, listen, all the shit you did to me did not break me. It built me.
You messed with the wrong innocent man, motherfucker.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You crank my motor up. It's time to go, man. It's time to go. So, yes, ma'am.
And you held on to that attitude for 18 and a half years.
Yes, I had to because, any other attitude and I probably wouldn't be sane today. Just the thought that they could actually murder me for something I knew absolutely nothing about would have probably driven me insane. I was just rebellious. I was going to show the rest of the world what you were doing to me. And that was just the way it was going to be. Otherwise, I would have lost my life. I would have died before they even put me in the casket.
Did you ever have moments of doubt?
Oh, I don't know if I would call it doubt. I had those moments where I just didn't give a damn anymore. I was tired. I would
Mm.
lay down and I would cry at night and I just didn't want to get up. I didn't give a damn anymore. And then I would wake up and I'd be wanting to fight again. It was like something just protected me until I could protect myself. And so this is how I came in contact with understanding the realism of God in my life. Because I
Hmm.
would give up at night. I don't give a damn no more. I'm tired. I'm tired. This is 5,000 days of my life right now. And I'm just tired. But for some reason, when I woke up, I had renewed spirit and courage to continue to fight. And that's when I knew God was working in my life and that this was bigger than me. It had to be. Because every time I want to give up, it wouldn't let me. I would find renewed spirit and courage to continue to fight. So something bigger than me is happening in my life and I need to pay attention. That's what I started doing, and that's why I'm here today. Yeah. So
Hmm. That's so interesting that you identified that feeling as God, like that impulse that even when you were feeling like on the brink of just giving up, there was some sort of wellspring of like did that feeling feel like something bigger than you was saying, like was reminding you that you mattered?
yes, it was peace. It was me discovering peace throughout this whole thing. It was saying that you are who you think you are, not what other people think
Mm.
you are. So always think good of yourself. Be that person that you know you are, regardless of your circumstances. That is how I made it through this, understanding and knowing who I am, knowing that I'm a person that has people that love me. I love to laugh. I love to cry. I love people. All of these good things about me. I am not going to let you take that from me just because you in the wrong, right? I'm going to
Hmm.
hold on to all of the goodness of me and I'll prevail that way. And so, this is why I felt like this was God working in my life because I was at the point where I just didn't care if I woke up because I knew I was waking up to another hellish day. So it was like, man, this is old, this is tiring. But the next day, I wanted to fight again. I just had renewed strength, renewed courage. And I was like, man, fuck that shit. I ain't gonna let nobody just take my damn life for some shit I didn't do, right? You gonna have to fight me for my shit. And so that's how I woke up every morning. I kept fighting, but I knew, okay, I have someone on my side that is keeping me in this fight. And that's how I knew it was God.
Hmm. Okay, I'm about to like talk philosophy with you.
Yes.
Because I think this is fascinating. Because like, so here's where I'm coming from, which is a very like very similar feeling, right? Like there was the deep feeling, especially after my conviction, that what the world was telling me, what these people in power were telling me, was that the truth didn't matter and that I didn't matter. And I'm left with the consequences of their actions. I'm being punished for their mistakes, and there's nothing I can do about it. And that was like realizing that in one way was a sense of defeat because that feeling that you don't matter, that you are being explicitly told you don't matter. You're not even who you say you are. You are the creation you're the monster that we've imagined you to be, and we're going to punish you for it. Like that was a deep existential crisis for me. And I also attribute, similarly to you, that feeling of rebelliousness to me being able to like metabolize and process that sort of trauma, that like harm that was done to me from those actions through that sense of both, knowing that they're wrong and not wanting to let them win. But I think even that impulse comes from this deep, deep knowledge, like a body knowledge, not even like a mind knowledge, but like just a soulful knowledge that regardless of what they said, I knew I mattered. I knew it. And I often attribute this to the fact that in my life, my family, my parents, especially my mom, have always conveyed to me that like deep, deep knowledge that I am loved. Like this unconditional, I matter more than anything to my mom. And and I wonder if that's like I've never like ascribed that feeling to God necessarily, but I do feel like there is something really comforting and peaceful and also propulsive about feeling aligned with the universe, feeling like the universe is on your side, even if like, bad things are happening to you. Like, call it the universe, call it God. When you feel like it's on your side, you can confront anything. Is that like, are we talking about the same thing here?
So yeah, Amanda, we definitely are. So you remind me of a story that happened to me where it was my first execution date. Okay, and they came to my cell to take me down to the captain's office so that they can tell me about it because I didn't know. So they came to my cell, two officers. They dehumanized me, stripped me out of all of my clothes, made me do the whole dance, right? Handcuffed me, and then they escorted me out of this cage to the captain's office. We get down to the captain's office. They asked me to take a seat. I'm in handcuffs. Captain sitting across from me. And the captain says to me, so Mr. Graves, we've gotten a phone call from the state of Texas, and they've set you an execution date, right? And what we want to know is what you want us to do with your body, and what you want your last meal to be, right? Here's the
Ugh.
thing, though, Amanda. This is the thing that the thought that came to my mind saved my life. I just changed everything for me, and this is what I'm talking about, God. The thought was, man, I'm just gonna live till I die. There's nothing they can do about it. I don't give a damn what they're thinking. I'm just gonna live till I die. That that thought gave me back my freedom because
Mm.
I understood now the power of choices. It's not the act that's gonna define you, Anthony. It's how you respond into that. And you have a choice as to how you want to respond to this. Right? You can give up and let them win, or you can dig in knowing who you are and live that life until you die. That at when I understood that, Amanda, they could not touch me anymore. They could not touch me. I was now flying above them because I knew that no matter how you treated me, it was up to me as to how I wanted to respond to it. And that was powerful for me. And
Hmm.
that's how I became rebellious with my spirit, knowing that there was nothing you can do when I decided that I was going to live till I die. I don't care what you do after that. I have that power of choice now. I understand it, and I'm just going to live till I die. That's it. You can't do nothing about it. I'm taking that from you. That's my power. That's that. So yeah, we're on that same page because when that thought came to me, it was a sense of calm.
Mm.
It was you don't have to worry no more, man. Understanding that we're all born to die. What they're telling you is no different from what's going to happen to the rest of the world. Just live your life, man. Just live your life, regardless of the circumstances. You have the choice to live your life, and at the same time, you can make a difference in the life of other people that are around you. Take that route. Make something of yourself while you're here. Those are the thoughts that I had, and that's what made me the man that I am today to go around and share this story and to give insight into criminal justice and its reforms because I decided that I was just going to live till I die. And I got so much wisdom from that.
Mm. I mean, you're still doing that, right? Like we're all just living until we die.
Yes, ma'am.
And I wonder, do you often feel like people are not living their lives like now that you're back in freedom and you're with, we're free people now. Now we are immersed in the broader human world. Do you feel like, first of all, do you still feel that same sort of calm about living your life? And do you feel like, do you see that reflected in other people or in the broader culture? Or do you feel like people are not living their lives.
Yeah, man, that's deep. And I've been out here for 15 years now, and yeah, I can honestly say from my own personal experiences out here is that people take life for granted. People don't stop and smell the flowers. Okay,
Mm.
I remember when I was on death row, and that was a window at the top of my cell that I would have to roll my mattress up to try to look out, and you could only see the sky, but if you raise yourself up, you can look sort of down at the ground and you see the grass. And I would always think, man, I would love to just be able to walk on grass again. Just take my shoes off
Mm.
and walk on
I
grass.
hear you, brother. I hear you.
And I look out here, I see out here that people don't care about walking on grass. People want the high, people want expensive tennis shoes because that's what's popular. People don't care about smelling the flowers because they're caught up in this rat race of trying to make a living for themselves. That they don't understand what life is really about. Life is just stopping and smelling the flowers, understanding what
Mm.
freedom really is. You don't have to be tied to this job and all of these rat races. Smell the flowers. That's your freedom. That's what God put it on earth for. It's a sweet smell, but we're so caught up in our rat ways that we're forgetting, and we never. I say it like this: some people have not discovered how to live life because they've been so caught up into their rat race, trying to find how to live, that they don't even understand. Just waking up is the greatest blessing of all. Live from that day. Live from that moment. Create your life from that moment. When you wake up, get out of the rat race. Learn how to live. Freedom is a state of mind. It's not what you see. It's not what you feel. It's a state of mind. I was behind bars for 18 and a half years, 6,640 days. And when I discovered the power of choices, I discovered my freedom, true freedom. And there was nothing they could do to me, even though I was behind bars. They could not touch
Mm-hmm.
me anymore. So, no, I think people just take life for granted. And when they wake up, they're 75, 80, and they don't have but a few years left to enjoy after they've retired. Now they're ready to die. It's so crazy to me because where we were, I was in hell. I was in a cage, like treated like an animal. I was taken. All my physical freedom was taken from me, but my spirit, my soul, my emotions, all of those things were controlled by me, and I wasn't giving them away. And thus I found freedom. I wish people would find freedom that way out here and really understand that life, there's no there's no certain way to live it. You live till you die. You're gonna go through experiences. You learn from them. You teach the person behind you. You raise them up as well, and you enjoy this thing. Quit making it such a hard thing to do. Live, man. It's shit.
Yeah, it's funny, because I think you're right. I think a lot of people are confusing the means for the end, right? Like there's this sense of like urgency to accomplish certain goals in your life in order to live life. And so you end up feeling like trapped on this hamster wheel, ever chasing the life that you think you should have instead of enjoying the life that you do have. So I 100% agree with you. And I think it does all come back to like a matter of perspective. But I also but it is a paradox, right? Like, in a way, being in the situations that we have been in is a weird sort of blessing because there was nothing like distracting us from the fact that life really comes down to just living it until you die. And except perhaps maybe our suffering. It could be that like suffering, like, I encountered a lot of people in prison who didn't come to that realization because they were so distracted by the urgency of their suffering and the fact that they felt like they shouldn't be living this life that they were living in prison as well. So I feel like it's a similar trap that you can fall into. But one of my, where I'm going with this is one of my favorite things that you said to me when we first met each other down in Texas was you were like, I see you. I see you hustling. I see you doing your thing. And I was like, I see you hustling.
Yeah.
I see you doing your thing. And, in an interesting way, which is to say that like one way of interpreting stop and smell the flowers is like, what are you trying so hard for? But it's not that you're not trying hard. It's not that you and I are not ambitious people. How do you balance ambition with that level of like contentedness with your life and with things as they are that allows you to fully live your life?
Wow, interesting question because when I first come home, and this is what I'm talking about, the rat race. The last thing I remember when I walked off of death row was someone saying to me, "Hey man, don't forget about us." That has stuck in my mind for 15 years. So when I came home, my whole thing was to get out here and hustle and let the whole world know what was going on with our criminal justice system. And that's all I was focused on. And all for 24 hours every day, that was my life. Even when I was sleeping, this is what my head space was. So I had no balance. And so what I was finding myself is after I do all my work is I was by myself. I was lonely. I was alone. I was in a strange world again. All right. This world was changed on me. Right. So many more people exist now. People that I never even knew are out here now. Right. But I'm so caught up into this rat race that I didn't even realize that I needed to find some balance in my life. So I remember my mom saying to me, I had bought a house and everything, and she seen how hard I was working, and it was interviews, it was documentaries, it was conversations, it was all criminal justice. And she said, you need to find a wife. And I'm like, wife?
You
But
need a hobby.
but like a wife? What about a dog? Okay, a damn wife. But I tell you what,
What a mom thing to
was the
say.
best advice for me because I've been married now 7 years, and I am truly tasting freedom because I have someone in my life to share with, someone that I can be vulnerable with, who understands when I need space, who understands when I'm still crying because of something that I remember in my past and give me that space, who can love me unconditionally, and who can be there to make sure that I'm healthy enough that I can continue to go out here and do what I want to do, right? Share my story and stuff. And then who can also enjoy life with me, travel with me, experiences just different things about life with me. And then when I decided that, okay, this works. So now I need to figure out how to do my work while also enjoying what this feeling that really feels good to me now. I'm feeling free now. I can do the work, and then when I come home, I can leave the work at my front door, and I can go in and I can love my wife, and I can just enjoy my life. When I discovered that, Amanda, this is for the last 7 or 8 years, I've really, really been tasting freedom. Really, because I have that balance today.
I love that, like, that there's someone, or, it sounds to me like what you're saying is that it's really easy to get caught up in our own sort of dreams and ambitions, but you need something or someone to remind you of what is happening now, of what you have now, and that life is just great and worth living and worth taking breaks and worth enjoying.
Yes. And that's still love, that's still laughter.
Yeah.
Yes.
Even though you haven't accomplished all the things that you would want to accomplish, right? Like, if you could, get all the innocent people out of prison and abolish the death penalty and abolish solitary confinement, like, all of those are, goals that many of, like, that you and I share, for example. And in a way, they're like the old cathedrals of past times, which took lifetimes for people to build. Like, are you familiar with how they used to build cathedrals?
No, but I would love to be educated.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I mean I couldn't tell you like the mechanics of it, but what I can tell you is that people would go in to building cathedrals knowing that this project that they are starting is not going to be completed in their
Right,
lifetime. And in
right.
fact, it wasn't going to be completed in their children's lifetime or their grandchildren's lifetime. So this grand project that they were, embarking upon was something that was for, in their view, the greater glory of God. It wasn't really about what they were accomplishing for themselves or even for, the next generation or the next generation. It was a project that was bigger than that. And that's what the cathedral represented. And I feel like, in a way, a lot of the advocacy work that both you and I do can be really frustrating because it's like a cathedral. There's elements of our like grand project that we kind of know are probably not going to be achieved maybe in our lifetime. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. We don't know. Like, there are some things that we hope we will have a hand in seeing, a positive outcome, the outcome that we want, but we don't know. And yet we embark on the project anyway. And that can be all consuming unless you have something and someone in your life to balance that
Yes,
out.
yes, so true. That's what I had to find out, that you need balance. This can literally drive you over the edge because you know what you're chasing is hard to catch, but you're chasing it anyway, right? And you're running and you're running. You want to eliminate the death penalty. You want to eliminate solitary confinement. You want to free innocent people. You want to give second chance citizens a fair opportunity out here in this world, and it's all. And this takes all your time because you really want this to happen. Because for me, it's like I want this to be my legacy. I don't want people to remember me as someone who was wrongfully convicted, but someone who made a difference after he was wrongfully convicted. Someone who changed the system. Now that Anthony Graves went through that, second chance citizens are out here working in the criminal justice system alongside criminal defense attorneys, making a difference with their lived experience. They're now professionals. It is a profession now for lived experience to be peer navigators, to come out here and contribute to the criminal justice system by mentoring people that are still in the criminal justice system. That's a big difference, creating a whole profession for second chance citizens to actually give them a real opportunity at a second chance. So these things you're chasing all the time to make this difference because, as I said, I want my legacy to be just that, not that I was wrongfully convicted, but what I did afterwards, right? And so that is a big goal, right? And so you find yourself waking up every day thinking of how to attain this, knowing that it's the cathedral that you're building, you know. And so you have to be able to take that break and go to dinner and enjoy your life, have love and laughter, and just get away from it sometime, right? That's what I found when I found a partner, my wife, and as I say, it's been the game changer for me because it has also given me a different level of energy in my fight. I know I have someone that I can come home to and just debrief. I just be myself. Someone who, if I'm having a bad day, gonna encourage me to pick it up because you know what you're fighting for, and get back out there and do it. So yeah, I think that people, if they could understand how to have balance in their life, they can understand how to live.
Mm. Here's a question, and it comes up because of this idea of legacy, right? Like, one of the ways that you and I both were harmed is we were like, who we were was defined by things we didn't do. And so, in a way, our legacies, our identities were stolen from us. And I think that is, I try my best to try to position the victimhood of those of us who've been wrongly convicted. I try to build bridges with other ways that people have been victimized. And but I think one of the ways that sort of we have uniquely experienced this trauma is that, one, the accusation of the monster that, you were accused of being kind of never really goes away.
Right.
And two, the harm that was, imposed upon you was seen as righteous. Like you deserved to suffer. It wasn't even like, in cases of people who are assaulted or killed, I think there's like this deep understanding that it doesn't make sense to blame the victim in of those kinds of crimes, even though people have attempted to do so. People try to like victim blame rape victims and all of that. But there's this sort of like special way that innocent people who are wrongly accused, even after they're found innocent and like exonerated and vindicated, there is like this lingering thing of sort of blaming them for their own wrongful conviction, or at the very least, saying like there's this sort of lingering doubt. And so like someone like me, for instance, feels that for the rest of my life, everything I do is not just because I want to do it and it matters to me, but it's also because I have to prove my innocence. Like every single day, everything I do in my life is also about proving my innocence. And I wonder if you feel that same impulse. Like,
Wow. Wow. Man, Amanda, you give me chills because I know exactly where you're coming from. No matter what the record says, no matter the final outcome, there's still that lingering doubt in people's minds because why? You've been incarcerated, you've been convicted before. So maybe it was just a technicality that got you out, right? Maybe
mm-hmm.
the prosecutors just didn't do their job good enough. They got you out, right? So, but I think though, Amanda, that's more us than it is them. Right,
Hmm.
I really do because when you said that kind of helped verify that for me. That I think it's more us because of what we've gone through and what we've had to endure to get back home. The fact that people doubted us, the fact that people once thought that we was these monsters, and now that we back out here, we feel this pressure to prove to society that we're not those monsters, that we are good people, right? And that I think that's us. I really think that's us because we want to be accepted for the people that and the person that we are. We're not that monster that they tried to make us out to be. But you thinking that I might be that monster. At least I'm thinking that you're thinking I might be that monster.
Yeah.
So I want to prove to you that I'm not that monster, right? I want to do all this
Yeah.
good stuff so that you can say, "Oh, we made a mistake. He is an innocent person. He is a human being." And I think that's more about us in our mindset because of what has happened to us and how we felt like society had turned its back on us when we were innocent people. We'd done nothing wrong to anyone, but yet look how you treat me. And now that I'm out, now I feel like I need to prove to you that I'm innocent. But that's more me. That's more us because of what happened to us than it is society. Because when I don't think like that and when I do engage with people, I realize people do have empathy and compassion for what I went through. People want to know who I am, want to know what I went through, want to know how I'm doing, and it's like, oh well, so they don't really think like that. Not all of them.
Hmm.
So most of
Hmm.
these thinking, this thought is my thought because of what you put me through. But I'm okay with that because had you not done this to me, I wouldn't think like this. So I'm okay with that. This is something that because of what you did to me, you've left me with. And I'm okay with that because I know where it come from. I'm not paranoid. I'm not tripping. This is how you made me feel. You made me feel like I need to now prove to you for the rest of my life that I'm a good person when I shouldn't have to do that. But that's how I think and that's how I feel. And I think that's more of us because we know we're good people, but people have put us in a bad place.
Yeah. So do you think that we should maybe feel less anxiety about that just in general?
I think we should live our life and not give a fuck. That's it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah. We deserve that. Okay. Don't give a fuck, because here's the thing. When they did this to us, they didn't give a fuck. They put us in a bad light. They tried to make us be the worst of the worst in society. They didn't give a fuck about ruining our reputation. They didn't even give a fuck about trying to kill an innocent man. So I'm going to come out here now and give a fuck about how you feel. No, I am on a mission to right wrongs. I'm on a mission to expose the criminal justice system that needs reforming. But I don't give a fuck about how you feel about me today. Because for 6,640 days, I cared about how you felt about me. And every day you shitted on me. You shitted on me. And then you tried to murder me. Now I'm supposed to come out here and care about how you feel about me today. I know I'm a good person. And that's all I need to know. I don't care what you think anymore, because you've been wrong for 18 and a half years. So I don't give a fuck about what you think. I know I'm a good person. And that's what matters most to me. And I'll show this in my work, and then let the chips fall where they may. That's how I feel, Amanda. I think we gave up too much now to come out here and feel like we need to, prove to everybody else that we still good people. No, just be good people. They'll figure it out. Yeah, they'll figure it out. That's it. Yeah.
That's fair. You know, one thing that you're saying though is an interesting conundrum that we all find ourselves in, which is that you and I have seen the dark side of our society and our institutions, and like a truly dark side, to the extent that, like, I mean, especially in the way that you described it right now, like, you know, you didn't care that I was an innocent person. You were going to murder me. Like, this was society. This was our institutions that didn't care that you were an innocent person and were going to murder you. Like, that sounds like a psychopath. Like, if you were to just use that description on a singular human being, you would be describing a psychopath. Do you feel like our society and our institutions suffer from psychopathy?
Yeah, well, if you put it that way, yes. I think our system suffers from a long history of racism. A long history of racism. And I bring this up to say, my honest opinion, I don't think it has any color anymore. I think it's all about economics, economic status. That's why I think we've moved to. Everyone wants to still focus on color, but I think it's more economic and class status now. That's why our racism is out, and it's embedded. It's so much that it's in. If you read the Constitution, it's embedded in our racism is embedded in our Constitution. Our Constitution was designed to protect the white male landowner. Okay, women wasn't even, when it talks about rights, women wasn't even mentioned. When it talks about rights, black men were 3/5 of a man. Indians were savages. It's in the Constitution. So it's embedded in our Constitution. So we have racism. Most people say we have racism in spite of our Constitution. We have racism because of our Constitution. And we need to we need to wrestle with that. And we need to come to grips with that. And so when we come to grip with that, then we start to figure out, how do we amend this stuff? How do we get it out of our Constitution? How do we see black men as real men, Indians as Indians and not savages, and women as women, and it's not just some abstract person on earth? So I think that it starts there, Amanda. We have to go all the way back to, how did we build this institution? What were in place? What did we put in place? How did we get here to where we are white, we are black, we're Mexicans, how did we get here? And see, if we walk back there and start from there, go back to the hand that planted the seed that grew the tree that bare the fruit, I think that we can start finding answers to our problems. But I want to say again, racism is just not about color. Look at what's happening today. We're having people that are marginalized being targeted by our systems and our institutions. That's not, it's not black, white, blue, brown. That's class, that's economics. And if we can understand that what racism really is about today, then I think that we could start addressing the real issues and that'll get us to some serious answers. So that's just my take on it though.
Yeah, yeah, I'm following you. And I think the thing that I find really hard about this question is that, I mean, if you look back on human history, just like in total, the psychopathy of, exploiting and slaughtering, and marginalizing other human beings is kind of everywhere. Like, as far back as human beings go. And, I wonder, how do you, I mean, you sound really hopeful. Like there's a way to sort of extricate the inherent psychopathy in our society and in our institutions. There's a way to remove the bad seed. But how, if we can't go back to some, if we can't look back to some time when human beings haven't been vicious and horrible and exploitative towards each other, like how do we remove that dark seed that's sort of just always been there?
Yeah, wow, that's interesting because yeah, there's nothing that you can point to as an example of what you're trying to achieve. Yeah.
Right?
So yeah, that's really crazy. But I think that's when you have to go within yourself and understand the goodness of you and that you want that to reflect on the rest of the world. And I think that's why you start at. You start with, okay, what do I think and believe that is the goodness of me and how can I reflect that on the rest of the world and get the world to understand that this is the way we need to go. Because that, as I say, that is nothing to point to, to say, see this picture here, this is the way we used to be, because there's a sad history here. But I just think that that's why the way we are built, I think everything that we need to know, all the answers that we need to have to questions are within us. And we need to go within us and find the goodness within us and kind of reflect that on the rest of the world. And if you can get the rest of the world to follow the goodness in you, then I think you can get to what we're talking about going, which is a peaceful society, right? A prosperous society, one that gives everyone a fair opportunity. And I think that comes from understanding the goodness that resides in us as human beings. Because at the end of the day, I believe that we have choices, and our choices between doing good and doing bad. We've done bad for so long that I just think that we just don't have a picture of what's really good. But we can paint that picture if we go within ourselves and reach and discover the goodness in you and have that reflect on the rest of the world. I think that's where it really starts.
Have you ever read Jonathan Haidt's The Righteous Mind?
I've heard of it, but no, I haven't.
You should read it. So you should read it because I think that so what you're saying is resonating with me in the sense that despite this sort of what seems to be this inherent psychopathy, this inherent willingness to dehumanize other human beings, right? That seems to have existed for the entirety of all, human, existence. There also is this impulse towards universal love and universal recognition of each other's humanity. For somehow both of those impulses, the psychopathic impulse and the humanistic impulse, exist within all of us. And how we choose to express those impulses sometimes gets weird and confused. And I think that is where The Righteous Mind by Jonathan Haidt is a really interesting read, because it talks about how everyone, we don't all have the same feelings about what is right or wrong. And there are some, some cultures and societies that place higher value on some kinds of principles versus others. And in fact, if you're talking just in a we come from one of these very weird societies, is what Jonathan Haidt argues, which is that, well, we're Western, educated, industrialized, rich democracies, right? Weird. But within that society, that kind of society, the things that really determine whether or not something is right or wrong, is good or bad, often comes down to, does it cause harm, or does it, or is it healing? Right? Like, are we or are we not causing harm? is often like that is what you determines whether or not something is right or wrong. Is it harming somebody? But in other societies and other cultures, that may not be the primary way, like the primary thing that determines whether or not something is right or wrong. It might be, is this sacred or is it sacrilegious? Like, like maybe someone's like individual choice that isn't harming anybody is actually considered bad because it's sacrilegious. An example of this is, gay marriage. Doesn't hurt anybody, and yet some people think it's like morally wrong because in their mind, marriage only happens between a man and a woman. And so suddenly you're like debating over what is right and wrong. And the reason why you can't come to a consensus is because how you feel that something is right or wrong is based upon different principles. And so I was wondering if when you talk about like us looking into ourselves and recognizing the right and the wrong, the good and the bad, what kind of principles do you hold as primary in determining the answer to that question?
Yeah, and when I say look within you and finding the good and reflecting that on the world, is that what's the good that lies in all of us is the ability to love. We all have the ability to love, right? We've been given five senses. We also have the ability to laugh, right? We also have the ability to laugh. And we also have the ability to communicate in a peaceful way. We have all of these things within us that can change the whole world. Right today, we have all of this within us. The ability to laugh, to love, to share life, to do all of these positive things. But yet, we do different. That's on us, the human being. We created everything that we have that we're frustrated about. We created everything that is our problems. And not understanding that we can change it all because we created it. But it's all within you. You just have to look within yourself. What is it about you that you actually love? What is it about you that you think makes you a great person? Those are the things that you need to reflect on the world. Because when the world can see that and respond to that, you make the world a better place. So you have to really do introspection and find out what is it about you that makes you that good person that you need to reflect on the rest of the world. So I think it's just about us looking in ourselves and understanding that we have the ability to love, to laugh, to cry, to do all of these great things. And we all have them. And if we all decided that that's what we're going to turn on, the world becomes a different place, a more livable, a more loving, a more laughable, a more comfortable place to live. Because we decided to reach and reflect the goodness of us upon the rest of the world. That's how I see it. So it's about just going in and finding that love that you have within you, and understanding the spirit of laughter, because laughter is 90% of your healing. If you can tap into those things and then reflect them on the rest of the world, people will follow. People will follow. They haven't seen it before. It will be something new. to us as a society. And I'm sure people will get on board because it will feel good. We're tired of feeling like the weight of the world is always on our shoulder. We're tired of always talking about problems and what are the answers to it. How about us starting to reflect the goodness of us on the rest of the world and have them follow?
Mm. Well, so here's where I'm sort of like trying to land also, is because this is a real problem, like, say again about this, this discussion about the death penalty even, right? Like, you encounter this every day in your conversations with people. Some people think that the death penalty is a good thing. Some people think that, and again, this is because in their minds, the equation isn't harm or not harm. It's justice or not justice. And for them, the primary way of expressing goodness is by murdering somebody who, in their mind, murdered somebody. And that to them is the definition of goodness. So when you encounter someone with that mindset, how do you communicate with them in a way that conveys your own understanding of the death penalty? First of all, yeah, actually, maybe we should step back and sort of say, when you talk about the death penalty and how you want it to be abolished, what is the basis of your moral argument?
So when I talk about the death penalty, I use evidence-based conversations. 160 something people have walked off of our nation's death rows, right? 160 something people. So that means that we know for a fact now that had 160 some people that we sentenced to death had been executed, we now know that we would have at least executed 166 innocent people. So that's fact. It's been proven already because those men have been removed from death row. So we do know that, right? And so I say to people who believe in the death penalty and feel like it's just, I say that you have every right to believe in the death penalty, because to me, no one should be able to tell you how you should respond or feel from someone doing harm to your loved one. So I think you have every right to believe in the death penalty. I will never argue against you on that right. You have that right. But I'll say this to you, for those that do believe in the death penalty. Because you believe in the death penalty does not exempt you from it. I'm proof of that. I never had an opinion about the death penalty. It knocked on my door and changed my whole life, right? Just because you believe in it does not exempt you or your family members from it, okay? So when we believe in the death penalty, we believe in it thinking about other people's loved ones, not our own, right? We don't never think about sending our own to death row and let the state kill them. We're thinking about other people's loved ones. But I'm just saying, be careful with that. Because the same thing you believe in for someone else's loved one, you should also believe in for your own. So you have to really wrestle with, do you really believe in the death penalty or do you believe in it for other people? Because you're not exempt from it. 166 people have walked off our nation's death row. That means we would have killed 166 people. You have that as evidence that it does not work. If it kills one innocent person, it does not work because someone lost their loved one unjustly. So you have those facts. Now, if you still want to believe in the death penalty, I say go for it. Go for it. You have every right to believe in it. And this is not being condescending. I truly believe this. But I also say, be careful. Be careful what you believe in our society. Because one day you may be faced with that truth. One day you may be me telling the world and telling the system that you're innocent. One day you may be an exoneree, or one day you may be getting executed or knowing someone getting executed for something they did not do because you chose to believe in it. So just be careful what you believe in our society, because the proof is in the pudding already.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like the argument that you're saying is it's not basically you're saying let's not even have a debate on whether or not the death penalty is morally justified. Let's talk about the cost. And the cost is that, you know, it's not a perfect system. We cannot guarantee that every single person that we sentence to death is actually guilty, and therefore do a calculation in the same way that we do a calculation on making it, you know, legal to drive in our country. We know that a consequence of everyone driving in our country is that a certain number of innocent people die from road accidents every year. And collectively as a society, we have all said, well, this number of innocent people dying because of the road is okay because of the value that the road and being able to drive provides us collectively as a society. And you're asking the person who believes in the death penalty to make a similar calculus. How many innocent people are you willing to murder for the death penalty to be worth it to you? And if you are, and I think the implication being, if you're a moral person, you should say zero. There should be zero people who we should risk, like zero innocent people who we should risk murdering for the sake of this other moral principle, which is justice. Some people you might encounter might say, I'm okay with 1 or 2 or 3 or 10 innocent people dying. I think that like maybe deep down, some people might not even be willing to say it out loud.
Right.
But I don't know. Like, I don't know. Maybe some people are okay with the idea of some people innocent people being murdered by the state. Is it okay though? Because that's where I push back.
It's okay. Like this. It's okay because, as I said earlier, you can't tell me how to feel if someone does something to my loved one. You can't tell me that it's wrong that I want that person to be executed. You can't tell me that it's wrong that I want that person to be harmed, because that person has tapped into my emotions. That person took something from me. He took my loved one. That is okay for me to feel that way. Those are my emotions. But my emotions should not govern our society. That's all I'm saying. You can have those feelings, but your feelings should not govern the rest of society. Right? Because that's where we get off track. We can't make laws based on your emotions. Our laws have to govern our whole society. And if because someone done something to your family member that you want that person executed, that's fine for you to have that thought. That's fine for you to have those feelings. But those feelings should not govern the rest of our society. It should be governed with rational laws, debate, discussions. It should not be we should not have laws based on your emotions because someone does something to your family. And it's okay for you to feel that way. This is what I'm saying. That's why I feel like it's okay for you to be angry, upset at someone who done something to you or your loved one. It's okay. It's okay to want the worst of the worst for them. But that alone should not govern the rest of our society. We shouldn't pass laws based on the fact that you pissed off or because you upset someone done something to you. That shouldn't become a law. That's all I'm saying. You can have your feelings about it, but your feelings should not become law if it's not right, if it's not righteous for society. And too many times we want our feelings to become the law because something happened to our loved one. But I'll share this with you, man. I'll wrap it up with this. I was on death row. I met many family members who would come down to death row to visit their family, their loved ones. And I've talked to a lot of families who said, I believed in the death penalty until I had to come down here and visit my son. That same person who thought it was okay to kill other people's children, to execute other people's children for what they may or may not have done, had to come down there now and see her son. And now she does not believe in the death penalty. So that's how it go. That's why I say you be careful. I understand the emotions behind it, but it has to come from a rational place. We have to govern from a rational mindset, not from an emotional one. That's how we end up getting it wrong. That's how I ended up losing 18 and a half years of my life for a crime I knew absolutely nothing about, because it was all behind emotions. We cannot let our emotions govern our society. It has to come from a rational place.
Well, thank you so much, Anthony. This has been an excellent conversation. Where can people follow you and find you?
People can follow me on anthonybelieves.net. That is my website. I do speaking engagements around the country. I'm a keynote speaker. My book, Infinite Hope, you can find it on Amazon, any retail bookstore. Yeah, and if you just want to keep up with my work, man, I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook, Anthony Graves.org. You can find me there. I'm all over the place. Find me, but definitely AnthonyBelieves.net is my website. So
Thank you so much, Anthony.
thank you, man.